already. It is, if you ask him. Tua, who went through 4 months of rehab to repair a broken hip and recently returned to the field to run through some drills and make some throws, is feeling pretty good about himself these days. He had this to say on SportsCenter last night.
I'd say I'm 100% right now. I'm just ready to go out and play. It's been 4 months too long. I feel as normal as can be. I feel like if I had to go out there and perform the same way I did my sophomore year and my junior year, being 100% healthy, I mean, I feel like I'd be able to go out there and do that.
All right, he feels 100%. Ryan Clark is always 100%, and he joins us now. All right, here's the thing. There's so much uncertainty right now, RC, about what NFL teams can see and cannot see, how they can evaluate a guy and what they can't do. If there's a silver lining here for Tua in all of this, in this horrible time we're going through, what would it be?
That he can put out his own message, that he can tell you that he's 100%, and he can show you the good videos from his workouts or show you the MRI that's coming up soon and tell you that he's ready to go. He'll be ready to play once this season starts. And you can't really poke and prod him the way that most teams would do during this time. And so for Tua Tagovailoa, it's to continue to get that message out, continue to control the narrative of his injury, his rehab, and where he will be come time for the season to start. And so for Tua Tagovailoa, he's actually thriving through this process, continuing to work, and also having an opportunity to set the stage for his own story instead of allowing teams to do that for him.
Yeah, it's like all players have questions. Tua has more than most with his injury history, so it's going to be fascinating to see just how NFL teams play this, how much risk they want to take on in going with Tua Tagovailoa. RC, stay right there. We're going to be back to you in just a second. First, back to Tony.
Yeah, David, we're exactly 3 weeks away from the NFL draft, and Tua, of course, making it clear he's ready to compete. And as speculation continues to intensify, we're going to talk about the best landing spot, and for that we bring in our NFL analyst, Tim Hasselbeck. Tim, Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay both had the Dolphins taking Tua at number 5 in their latest mock drafts. What do you think is the best fit?
I think that's a great fit, and I think it makes sense that both Mel and Todd have him there. You know, I know Mel and Todd don't have trades in their mock drafts, and so they might not be able to just sit at 5 and get Tua, but I do think that ends up being a pretty good match. It's a well-coached group down there under Brian Flores. Chan Gailey, the new offensive coordinator, I think would actually be a good fit for Tua. And you just look at their current situation with Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know, in the event you weren't comfortable playing Tua right away, obviously Fitzpatrick's been in a situation before where he can play and quite honestly played fairly well for the Dolphins a year ago. But I think Ryan Clark makes a great point about controlling the narrative. The truth is these videos have been helpful. I actually talked to Trent Dilfer this morning, who's training Tua, and have seen some other videos and the stuff that's been put out, and he looks like a quarterback that is 100% healthy, like he said. So I think, you know, that is probably easing some concerns. I know that when I watch it, I feel like I'm watching a healthy quarterback. And so, you know, if it's going to come down to a medical, you know, decision for these teams, I think that he's done all he can in terms of answering the question based on posting these videos.
Yeah, you make perfect sense. Everything makes perfect sense in that way. Now let's send it over to David. Hold on. Do not go anywhere.
Okay, Mel and Todd and most of the rest of the world have Joe Burrow projected to go #1 overall to the Bengals. Burrow set FBS single-season records in passing touchdowns and touchdowns responsible for in 2019. Then at #2, the Redskins are expected to take Ohio State standout Chase Young. At that point, 16.5 sacks last season, the most in Buckeyes history. Also had an FBS leading 6 forced fumbles. And another Buckeye defensive player, corner Jeff Okudah, projected to go #3 to Detroit. Okudah was first team All Big Ten, led Ohio State with 3 picks in 2019. We've got Ryan back with us. Asking you to talk about D-backs is like catnip. I mean, you love this stuff. So you've been watching Jeff Okudah's tape. What stands out to you?
I have. Listen, he's just hard to catch footballs on. When you watch how competitive he is on each and every throw that comes in his direction, it's something that defensive coordinators will salivate over. When you see a guy who is long, he's strong, he's able to play the ball in the pocket. Also is great in off coverage and playing press bell, which Ohio State used a lot when he was there and he started. Now listen, he played across from other good, talented guys, so it wasn't like they were staying away from Jeff Okudah. He was just able to make plays, and he was hard to make plays on. And so I think when it comes time to make that selection at 3, the Detroit Lions will be looking at Jeff Okudah to replace Darius Slay Jr., who they lost in a trade to the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's one of the premier positions in the NFL, cover corner, along with quarterback, where we had Burrow going number 1 and Chase Young, the rush defensive end, coming off the edge at 2. Ryan, just stay right with us. We need to keep talking to you, but first back to Tony.
I'm here.
All right.
All right. Yes, we're going to bring back Tim Hasselbeck. Tim, so what do you think the Lions should do with that number 3 pick?
Well, I think that corner is a legitimate need, and RC makes a great point about Okudah, and that would be a good fit. So I understand that. I mean, it's pretty obvious to everybody after, the loss of Darius Slay. Now, with that being said, if you could trade out of the number 3 spot, because I have heard so many people talk about, like, hey, Tua isn't going to be sitting there forever. That people that like him enough, if you do get a good medical on him, people may want to jump in front of the Miami Dolphins. And so if you can trade, if you're the Detroit Lions and you have the ability to trade, you might still get Okudah at 5. And if for some reason he wasn't available at that point, then somebody like Isaiah Simmons could be available. And that also is a player that could help your football team. So I think the Detroit Lions actually, have some legitimate options, some decent options at that number 3 spot, even though so many people have talked about that number 3 spot being somewhat tricky with the clear prospects at 1 and 2.
All right. And by the way, the last time the Lions